Hey boos, in this video I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. I haven't done anything for you to be proud of.
Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
Ladies, it's Yoni and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a more important topic regarding Russell Simmons, Kimora Simmons, and Aoki Simmons, and so many more. So I'm going to start with the drama that took place on Father's Day. We saw the drama all unfold live, and I wanted to talk about it because a lot was exposed, but we have to start from the very beginning. So I'm going to start with Aoki, who decided to make a Father's Day post where she gave credit to her mother. So let's go ahead and get into that, and then I'll be back for the remainder of my commentary.
Okay, you guys, so Russell Simmons' daughter, Aiko, is exposing her dad. Now, she came out and went on live and basically said that he is a horrible person, that he's been verbally abusive towards herself, her mom, and her sister. And she says she cannot be quiet any longer. Now, she started by exposing some messages between herself and her dad on WhatsApp. So she said, "I've had enough. I know I may lose jobs or whatever. I don't even know. I was always a daddy's girl. You can see that in any picture, but he's been awful to me for years, and that's just the truth." So this is the text exchange between herself and her dad on WhatsApp. And so she said, "Just why I'm out here praying for you and hoping everything goes well, and you call my mother a piece of ish." And he said, "Neutral my A, I don't even appear in your media, and your mother has stolen my money and the love of my kids as she promised. She actually is." And then Aiko said, "I'll never speak to you until you die. Don't ever say that again. She did not steal it. You lost it." He said, "She is a piece of ish, piece of ish." And then Aiko said, "Understand, you lost it with your actions." And then she said, "Dad, I stopped talking to you because you were giving me panic attacks to the point I was placed on emergency medication every time we spoke. I cannot have a relationship with you until that stops. No one stops me from talking to you. My health does. I have to put that first. Every time I spoke to you, you would yell and scream about legal situations that I cannot even respond to because I am not involved. I'm your child, not your lawyer, your ex-wife, any of it. I can do nothing, yet you yell at me like it's my fault. You were putting so much anger and rage on me every phone call, cursing, screaming, and God knows what else. I'm sorry, but I cannot be the target of that. It's not fair. It got to the point I could not hear your voice without having an anxiety attack. You have to at least respect I'm putting my health and well-being first." Then she posted a video of her dad going off and yelling. Now, she did not post the sound, so we do not know what he was saying, but we can just see he's very upset and irate. And she said, "This is not someone who will accept help. This is just one screen recording. I'm sorry, I don't always remember to press record. When he calls my friends, my boyfriend, anyone to get a chance to threaten and curse and go crazy."
I've been trying not to talk about this because I don't like to have trauma, but I feel like it's just a lot of emotions because I finally had enough. And anyone who knows me, there are people in my DM saying I'm ungrateful, whatever. Anyone who knows me knows I have been a good daughter. I have been here for my dad. I have defended him every which way about stuff that I don't even know about. I was like 15, not knowing what it was, and I'm still defending my dad. Like, my dad's a good person. I've been a good daughter my whole life. And so you're not gonna say that I'm ungrateful or awful. This man is awful to me. He's done awful things to me. And I'm so tired of it. And everyone just says, everyone loves your dad. Everyone you work with loves your dad. No one's gonna back you up. No one's gonna have you model for them because they all love your dad and he's a terrible person. So if I never get any jobs ever again, then like, fine, I will go be a lawyer in the entertainment industry because I shouldn't have to lie or be bullied by a child. I have made so much effort with my dad. I will release my entire like WhatsApp log. I'm proud of how I've behaved. I have said I love you, happy Father's Day, whatever. I know things are tough right now, but you know, I will release the whole thing. I'm proud of how I behaved. I've asked for space or for boundaries. I've said, please don't post pictures of mom when you guys are disagreeing. It's like taunting her. Please don't post random baby pictures of all of us together when you guys are in legal issues. Like, and this all started because he's got folks talking about my sister, and you guys know me. You don't talk about my sister. That's when I ended. I only follow him because I was in the media and I had no choice because it was like, why is it? I've been trying not to have drama, so I follow him and I try to be peaceful and I say I love you and happy Father's Day when I can. But I mean, this man has left me stranded in a foreign country. As a minor, he cut off like my debit card and didn't tell me. I'm in Greece, like doing a school trip. I realized all of a sudden I had no money. I go to my teacher, I'm like, my debit card doesn't work suddenly. I don't know what's going on. My mom sent me some money and whatever, but like, he does really vindictive stuff like that. He'll cut you off out of nowhere. He'll cut off your healthcare. He'll cut off your phone bill out of nowhere. Like, you'll be a minor just because you disagree. Or you say, don't call my mom all these names. And I don't like to have drama. I want to be a peaceful person. There's so much that I want to do in the world on my own, as my own self, but I cannot just let you taunt me about my mother. And if he says one thing and disagrees with me, I will post it all because he does it. I have videos of him saying awful things that no one should have to hear about anyone they know, much less their mother. He has called me names. He has called us all house of bitches, all you fucking cunts. He has called us terrible things. All because I wouldn't take his side in a lawsuit. My mom didn't ask me to take her side. She said, you go to school and you do your thing. And, you know, mommy's in some things, but, you know, I have a phone. No one stops me from talking to him. I'm 20. I just don't always feel like talking to him. And over, he posts stuff and does stuff. And we all say, please stop. I don't want drama. I love my family. I'm sure we'll all work it out. It's going to be okay. And I don't post anything because I want to have a peaceful family. But this is abusive at this point. And I really feel like my career is over. And it's fine. It's just... And he threatened me with that too. So... Maybe my career is over. You know what? I used to work at a refugee camp. I'll do that again. I'll be a doctor. I don't give a fuck. And I can never get a job in entertainment again. But you cannot just abuse your kids behind closed doors and not take accountability. Maybe I'll regret this when I'm older and I wanted to be a model and now I can't be. I don't know. But you don't get to do this. You don't get to do this. I'm sorry. And something tells me deep down that I'm not gonna regret this. You don't do that. It's wrong. And literally, I have not been able to say anything because I've just moved out recently. And you know, a lot of people when I'm working and modeling, I'm so grateful. They'll say to me, oh, I met your dad 10 years ago. He's so wonderful. And I'm working, so I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's great parts to him, and we used to be very close because that's how I make money to move out. He won't give me any money, which is fine. You don't have to give me money. I'm 20. I'm over 18. I don't know. But then I can't also speak out against him without him messing up my job. No, but I know it's going to start more drama, but it's been years. All that money, they're crying about nothing. Russell Simmons doesn't give me any money. I'm staying with my friend in New York. Russell Simmons doesn't give me $1. He doesn't give me a fucking smoothie. And you're saying this starts more drama, but it's been years. I've been in the drama for years, since I was like 15. So yeah, maybe it feels like more drama now, but I've tried, and I just don't think it's fair that I have to be quiet and I can't sit in. It's ruining my job and I don't get to have a career because it's not fair. All he does is post crazy, out of control stuff, and we all just say like, God, like, if I respond, it's gonna be worse. If I respond, it's gonna be worse. I just like had enough. And I used to be so close to my dad. You can see that in any picture ever. I was the closest with my dad. I had not done anything to him. Anything he says that we've done is like, they didn't call me when I said call. They didn't post a picture of me on Instagram for my birthday. Like, we have done nothing but go to school and stay out of grown folks' business and let them do their legal stuff. And mom has encouraged that. She'd been like, yeah, I mean, y'all are in college, like, be in college. Don't worry about this over here. And it's my dad who, if you unblock him for 2 seconds, he starts telling you what a cunt your mother is. And now she's going to jail, and she's an illegal person, and she's the worst, and he can't wait to watch her go to jail and die. And like, anytime you unblock him for 2 seconds, at one point he lied, said he had COVID. And so we called him like, all right, you know, this is serious. Are you okay? And he's like, no, I just faked that to tell you your mother's a piece of shit. And we're like, all right, good morning. You're 70. Like, grow up. And I never wanted to do this because I'm like working so hard just to try and have like my own life and do what I enjoy doing. I just graduated college. I just got to New York. I might not even have a job now. I don't fucking know. Never baby downfalls, you know, I guess if the name helped you get the job, might help you lose the job. I don't fucking know. But I just feel like I did everything with so much patience, and it's like, but you're not gonna text me over and over, calling my mom this and that, and calling my sister this and that, and sending people to threaten my sister. He sent someone to threaten my sister at her house. You know my sister's a nice person. She's a quiet person. Ming would never do this. He sent someone in the middle of the night to like take her some papers to like sign away her inheritance or whatever. And then she was like, should I be signing this? And I was like, what? He like sends people to threaten her. And you know Ming is a calm person. No, please stop with the bullshit about I hope you find peace and privacy and this is venting. I have been dealing with this my whole life. This is not new. It's not new drama. I already live in the drama, so now I'm just sharing. This is not, there's no therapy you can go to with someone who weaponizes the fact that you don't want to go public, right? Because when he posts something and then I don't respond, because I'm like, you know, I don't want to have drama. And so he's been weaponizing that we don't want to have drama. I'm not, like, I care about my family. I don't like to have this out there. But he uses that against you. Well, what are you going to do about it? You're not going to say something. So now I'm saying something. And if you're going to say one more thing about, like, you should be in private in therapy, get off, please. Because I'm telling you, he uses that against me, and I'm not going to have it. And my sister and my mother, and I'm not going to have it. And he's going to spin the whole narrative about, oh, your mom turned you against me. I am very independent-minded. You can ask my mom. She has an issue with me every day since I was 4. I want to cut my hair. I want to move out. I want to do this. And she's like, we negotiate all the time. I'm not the type to like, whatever you say, mommy. I'm like kind of an independent individual in that way. She would know. She raised me with a lot of work. So he's going to say, she's not with me. I'm in New York. Like I said, staying with a friend because he will not even give me $100 for rent, which is fine. I'm saving. But like, all that money you're crying, he doesn't give me $1. Not that you need it, you know. People work. People are 18, 20. They don't have parental support. My mom supports me. Yeah. But that's all I really have to say, I guess. I think I covered all the points. It's been many years, so don't tell me this is just drama that just started. I've been living in it. it's been terribly directed at the children. It's not like I could just stay out of it. We tried. I would be in school, living, happy Father's Day, happy Mother's Day, and my mom, if I asked a question, she'd be like, this is not your concern. But anytime I allowed him into my life, even to have lunch, he would start yelling about tell your mom to do that. And I was like, I can't, what? Cursing, saying terrible words. If you don't agree with him immediately, it's immediately cursed out, foul things. Like, if you don't immediately say, oh my God, I hate my mother too, like, you're in trouble. So, don't tell me this just started. I don't really care if I seem crazy because I know that I'm not. And like I said, I will release every email. I'll release my entire WhatsApp log because I have behaved as well as I could have at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have behaved as well as I could. Please give me some space. I don't want to talk about that. Well, I don't want to hear you say that about my mom. Could you please stop? Please don't call my friends. Please don't call my boyfriend. Please don't call my friends at school. Please don't DM my friends at school on Instagram to harass me. Please don't threaten my job. Please don't send people to threaten my sister. I've done the best I possibly could. And I mean that. On my own. Like, it's not... Because he and my mom have had disagreements. I'm not involved in them. But he forces me to be involved. Even now... He'll say, I didn't want drama. I have texts of him saying, go on live. No one will fucking believe you. Do it. Go ahead. Nobody cares. Fine, let's go then. Go on live. See if anyone fucking believes you. I'm Russell Simmons. See who believes you. So, you know. Did I miss anything? No, I think those are the main points. Rich people are crazy, bro. Thank you for your thoughts. That's so helpful. It's so helpful. So yeah. You know, speaking to y'all now, but a lot of people who claim to be feminists or progressive, when it comes to one of their friends, their homies, whatever, blind eye. So, yeah, y'all might not really see me much more. Like, I might not continue working in fashion or in entertainment. I might just, I don't know, I have other skills. I might just do like law, which I care about, and criminal justice. Like, I'll do something else. But I'm saying that now. A lot of people who will say, oh, I would back up someone if they said, look what I have evidence, look what's being done to me. And it's gonna be, oh, well, I knew your father in the 90s, I can't hire you, so you don't have to hire me. But I said the truth, and I'm sure that'll, you know, come full circle. I'm thinking about, honestly, some people that I care about so much who don't know that me and my dad have issues, and I'm worried that they're gonna abandon me, not talk to me, turn away from me, and as sad as that is, I'm sure if they do that, I'm better off without them. But so yeah. If people abandon me because my dad is awful and you thought he was great, and the one time y'all met in 2012 he was so spiritual, and you don't believe me even though I have the evidence, that's fine. But I think the world really sucks if that's what happens, because it's not fair. It's been years. So yeah, and I love my dad. I've always loved my dad. You can look at any picture of me as a child, of my family. I'm always with my dad, hugging his legs, something. I think I have like 45 Daddy's Girl t-shirts when I was like 4. I love my dad. And if he tries to say, oh, they've been awful to me because we didn't post a picture of you on Instagram so you could performatively make people think that we're not upset. So yeah. Maybe I blew up my life, but it's okay. Oh, recover. I did also want to come on here and say that a lot, like, I can't between a lot of people who are close to him and who have experienced how he has, just lashed out at anyone he can and completely changed the person that he is, a lot of us feel like maybe something is wrong. Like, mentally, I don't know. He's older. I don't know. But he has completely changed. I will come on here and talk about whatever I want because it's my life and I'm the one suffering. So, he has completely changed. The couple texts I just had, those are only the beginning. I'm gonna go through them if he's gonna. I don't want to post a ton, but if he tries to say that like it's not happening, I will. I have screen recordings. I have voice memos of things that it doesn't sound like a human being. He's like shrieking and yelling, and he sounds like possessed. So I will say, I'm not even sure if it's like to his credit, but the best explanation I have is something mental going on, because I used to be very close to my dad. He used to be a good co-parent, close with my mom, my stepdad. He was his godfather to my little brothers. We all went on vacation together every year, like very close, well after the divorce. Everyone was really happy. When he had business ventures, my mom would invest in them, like good friends. He'd come stay with us, like we'd come stay there. We'd like all the time, everyone together. And then really he suddenly just decided that like if we don't agree, it's, oh, you're all bitches like your mother, I hate you, all these fucking bitches are the same. Oh my, he's just a different person. Like he has like looked me in the eye and I've been like, I need help. I was in Greece doing the camp and I was like, you cut off my debit card. I only got like couple $100 a month as a minor. And I was like, I'm in a foreign country and my debit card won't work. I can't even add money to it. Can you help me? And he was just like, no, I sure hope that you don't die on the streets of Thessaloniki. And I was like, no, like I'm really stranded out here. I need help. And he's like, well, maybe you should ask your mother not to sue me. And I'm like, you're suing her. And he's like, well, maybe when you bitches decide you're gonna like be reasonable, I'll help you. And I'm like, this is unsafe. It's nighttime. What? You cut me off out of nowhere. And he did it like on purpose. He was like, oh, enjoy camp. I put like, you're good to go. I put money in your card. And then he cut it off when I landed. So I'd be stranded. My mom helped me. It was fun. Worse things have happened. I'm just saying he'll like look me in the eye and be like, well, maybe when you bitches decide to, like, threatening me. So I felt that was important to include, because if we do continue to get into it, and some of the things that I post are going to look crazy, and I agree, they're crazy, and it would honestly make me feel better if something was severely wrong, because this is just not the father that I know, or the father that I've had. You know, like, to this day, I would never let a man talk any kind of way to me, because my dad was always good to me, and then he just completely changed. So I just want to include that it could be that, and I don't know his mental situation, but like he used to do kind of crazy stuff, and then say he had COVID, so we'd all call him, or if we'd say, hey, I need some space because all you do is tell me how awful I am and how I have my mom's awful, shitty, bitch-ass cunt genetics. So, hey, look, I'm in school, and can you not harass me when I'm in school? He wasn't paying for school, by the way.
The interesting thing about Aoki's live, she indirectly confirmed the allegations that were placed against her father starting back in 2017. During the height of the Me Too movement, 3 women accused Russell Simmons of SA and sexual harassment.
Now, this is the demo for Junior Mafia. I think actually Biggie gave me this. At the time, Biggie lived around the corner. He was trying to be a rapper. I was trying to be a rap A&R person. We were all trying to be something. Drew was a young, powerful something who cared so much about this music. And so when Def Jam called me, I was like, Russell Simmons wants to offer you this job as the director of A&R at Def Jam. I could not have scripted it better. That's one of the beautiful things about the music industry. There was a lot of mobility for women, but at the same time, there was tremendous amount of sexual harassment. You didn't get a lot of sympathy for that. That was considered the price of admission. I didn't tell that many people about what happened with Russell. He just grabbed me. He just grabbed me. And I'm saying no. I was reduced to nothing in that moment. Nothing about anything that makes me who I am mattered.
I had asked her, do you want to go to the police? She was like, no one's going to take me seriously. Who's going to believe me?
If white women are not believed, what do you think is happening to black women in America when we come forward with stories about sexual violence?
I don't have a stitch of violence in me. I would never hurt anybody.
You're worried as a black woman that you'll say something that will have consequences that you hadn't anticipated.
He's the king of hip-hop. The black community will hate my guts. I didn't want to let the culture down. I love the culture. It's a terrible burden to bear, to know that you might still be judged as somehow being a traitor. The New York Times called me and said there were other women, but they won't go on the record unless I go on the record. But I'm terrified of the backlash.
We need to be able to make sure that a broader group of women are introduced into the public consciousness.
This is so emblematic of what happens to women routinely. It's a loss for all of us. It really, really is. I've been alone for 22 years. I thought it was just me. To go through the assault and then the coming forward. Everybody was taught things happen, you just didn't talk about it. And so I just always put on this front. Every woman's story deserves to be heard. I've been a victim for 22 years. I'm tired of being a victim.
When it came to me doing research for this video, it instantly sparked my interest because I found similarities in the accusers and Aoki story, and it's very common and it's very similar. One thing that I noticed is that all of these women were afraid to speak out against Russell Simmons due to the fact that he's powerful and he's well connected in the industry, and they did not want to compromise their careers. So a way to save their careers, they stayed silent. All of these women were silenced due to the power that Russell Simmons carries behind his name and his image. So I found that to be interesting, and one thing that I like to follow on this channel is patterns and consistency when it comes to two totally different stories, but somehow they are parallel. I found the parallel between Aoki and the three women that came forward regarding the sexual allegations that were placed against Russell Simmons. So let's go ahead and compare, shall we?
And literally, I have not been able to say anything because I've just moved out recently. And you know, a lot of people when I'm working and modeling, I'm so grateful. They'll say to me, oh, I met your dad 10 years ago. He's so wonderful. And I'm working, so I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's great parts to him. And we used to be very close because that's how I make money to move out. He won't give me any money, which is fine. You don't have to give me money. I'm 20. I'm over 18. I don't know. But then I can't also speak out against him without him messing up my job.
I protected myself because if I had spoke up, I would have been destroyed. Russell is the only person responsible for his behavior. I can speak for myself, I stayed silent to save my life. And that is not a burden that myself or any of us or any survivor should have to carry.
I stayed silent to save my career. I mean, I did.
I stayed silent because I was playing in the, going in the league of the all females going after the guys, and we used to rap, and I knew Russell was powerful, and here we are women, battling guys, and I said they would have been like in the hood, like me blowing Russell up. First of all, nobody would have believed me. They would have been like, oh, Sherry, come on. You're going to do this to Rush because that's the hood. This is Uncle Russell. He's putting hip-hop on. So I stayed silent because I was like, I didn't think my word at the moment and at that time on myself was important enough to, and it was like, who's going to believe this?
You and Russell Simmons go way back.
We do. We do.
Now, I guess you talked about you were with Russell when he was with Kimora when she was 16?
I was at a lunch in the Hamptons with maybe about 8-9 people. And yeah, it was a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And yeah, Kimora was there. She barely spoke, if at all, but she was 16 and she was around a group of 20 and 30 something. So I don't, fault her for not speaking. It's just, I'm sure she was young and shy. But she was not the person who she would become. She would become this sort of very out persona and would, now she like fills the room with her energy and her persona. But I mean, like she was not reality show ready at that time. But, look, there's some bickering about was she 16 or 17. I remember being introduced to her and being told that she was 16, even if she was only 17. What are we talking about here? You were in your 30s, and she's either, that's the point, is it, was she 16 or 17? I don't really, even if we concede 17. Like, what's really the difference? You know, now we're in R. Kelly land. Like, you know, you got underage children. You know, how old are they? Like, what are we talking about right now?
Okay, and you said that Russell Simmons' legacy is dead.
I mean, look. I hope we're gonna go beyond the Breakfast. Right now, we're like annotating the Breakfast Club interview. We're gonna go. I don't know, but I mean, like, look. How do you write? I mean, when I think about legacy, I think about obituary, right? That's sort of like the distillation of your legacy. How do you write the first paragraph of Russell Simmons's obituary? All right, and I'm not wishing him death or anything like that, but at one point, like every other human being on the planet, he will pass away. And he's famous enough that he will get an obituary in the New York Times, right? I mean, the New York Times has obituaries already written for a lot of people who are healthy, you know. So God only knows there may be an obituary written for Russell Simmons right now. How do you write the first paragraph of his legacy without talking about this current moment and what has happened to him in the Me Too movement and what has been unearthed about him? He is, you know, the founder of Def Jam and a hugely important figure in pushing hip-hop up, and also thought of, look, in November, Russell could go anywhere, and was everywhere, and showing up all over the place. Russell's the guy who showed up to the black tie event in sneakers, and everyone just smiled, because that's Russ, he does whatever he wants. Now he can't go anywhere. Is that not how are we supposed to look at him the same as we did in November?
Right, I guess Russell Simmons is in Bali right now, at a yoga retreat.
Okay.
I actually interviewed Russell about a week before the accusations came out.
Did you?
I did, at his house in West Hollywood. And we talked about the movement.
Time has come for Hollywood in general to be sensitive to the plight that they have put women in over these years. And they should change dramatically their relationships and their practices. And they are changing in a hurry. So, things evolve. And examples like the ones we're seeing are reminding people that we need a lot of work, right? And the women need bigger voices. And also, when I talked about diversity in Hollywood, it's still a man's network. I said there's no black agents and not a lot of women agents either.
And then a week later, all hell broke loose. And it's one of those things. It's a bunch of allegations, but there's no trial. There's no due process. There is no evidence. There's no anything. Unlike let's say a Bill Cosby that has certain things that's in depositions, or a Harvey Weinstein where you heard the audio recordings when he was trying to get that girl into his room. The Russell Simmons thing is a bit weird.
How is it weird? How many women can tell the exact same story and us go, I don't know. And Vlad, if they were all strangers to me, I'd be like, wow, you got a lot of stories against you, Money. This is looking bad. But they're not all strangers to me. I know Drew Dixon. I know her very well. I've known her for a very, very long time. I know her before I'm in New York, before she's in New York. Like, we have mutual family friends. Like, we met as kids. She's a person of integrity, of education. Her mother was the mayor of D.C. I'm not saying that means you can't lie, but I know her to be a person of integrity. I know her to have told a very detailed story about what happened to her over and over and over. And when you talk about inconsistencies in somebody else's story, I don't hear that in her story. Russell does concede that in the office, in Def Jam, he would go into her office and close the door and pull out his dick. And then from there, God only knows what's happening. So, he concedes that because he has to, right? Because he signed something, he paid her off because of that, right? So, now we have Drew is telling a consistent, detailed story, and he is conceding that he repeatedly pulled his penis out in the workplace. Is it, so accepting those things, is it hard to, look, the things you talk about, evidence and these sort of due process, that's the justice system. And
Right.
That's important. And I don't want people sent to prison, right, over just hearsay, right? I want evidence if we're going to send you to the worst place on earth for years to come. But in the court of public opinion, how do I hear all these women, including one I know very, very well, say the same fucking story and go, I don't know. There's still more to be heard. I don't know.
Fair enough. I think I just don't know enough about the story then, based on what you're saying.
Did you read the New
I
York
saw
Times
the
story?
blonde girl. I'm sorry?
Did you read the New York Times story?
I skimmed through it. I didn't read it carefully, to be honest. I did read, when it originally broke, we covered it. But I didn't go into the actual detail of the story. I also saw the blonde girl that was on Good Morning America.
Okay.
Who talked about, who's suing him for $5 million.
Oh, the newest allegation. Yeah, the
right.
film producer, yeah.
And to me, once you start suing for $5 million, it's one of those things where what exactly is your main goal with this? Is it to make the person pay for their crimes, or is it for you to get a payment?
Okay, well, Drew is not suing him. She's not looking for anything but to tell her story.
And another allegation of sexual misconduct surfacing now against Russell Simmons, the music mogul. That brings the number now to 14. 14 allegations ranging from inappropriate behavior in the workplace to rape. Carrie Clausen-Kaligi was the first woman to come forward, and on this very show, she detailed what she says happened to her when Simmons invited her to his New York City apartment. It was under the guise of watching a music video, she said, with director-producer Brett Ratner. Watch.
He continued his advances, and I looked over at Brett at that point for help, and I'll never forget the look on his face. It was in that moment that I realized I think this was their plan all along. There was no help that was going to come.
Through his lawyer, Brett Ratner told the LA Times he had no recollection of Kaligi asking him for help and denied witnessing her protest the scene. Simmons, in a statement to us, denied the allegations of non-consensual sex and said that Carrie was a willing participant. He went on to release another statement, this time to The Hollywood Reporter, denying the accusations with, quote, every fiber of my being, and went on to profess his longtime loathing of any form of violence and abuse. But once Carrie's story was out, more women started to come forward, including Natasha Williams-Black and Sherry Hines, who sat right here in this studio and talked about their encounters with Russell Simmons. Simmons also vehemently denying their accusations. And now Russell Simmons is being hit with a civil lawsuit to the tune of $5 million. Jennifer Jarosik is the woman who filed that lawsuit. She joins me now with her attorney, Perry Wander. Jennifer and Perry, thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Did you see Carrie and the other women come forward, and how did it make you feel?
I did. I just took a deep breath and I said, oh my God, I'm not alone. And at the time, I wasn't sure still how I was going to handle this. But yeah.
You met him years ago. He's a music mogul, but he's now sort of this lifestyle person.
Yeah.
And you met him sort of promoting meditation and veganism and sort of wellness.
Yes.
Wellness. There were 2 incidents you allege between you. The first one happened when?
The first one was in May of 2011. I had traveled to New York City to interview him for my documentary film, which is on women's empowerment.
And so he agreed to participate, to be interviewed by you.
He did, yeah. Russell was a friend of mine.
Okay.
He was a mentor. I looked up to him. And I had tremendous amount of respect for him at the time. And I had thought that this was amazing. Here is this high-profile man who understood what I was trying to do to help women, who offered to give an interview. And yeah.
Where did that incident take place?
That was in New York City at his office.
Okay, so 2011 in his office.
Yeah.
And did he force himself on you, or what happened there?
Yeah. So after the interview, he had asked my director to leave the room. He wanted to speak with me privately. So my director left the room. He was doing the camera. And he aggressively came on to me. He started to kiss me, and then he raped me.
Did you communicate to him you did not want him? You did not want to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I tried to force him off, but it happened so quickly. And I just froze. I think I just froze. And yeah.
We've heard that. We've heard about the fight, flight, or freeze from so many women. Don't forget about the freeze. And in fact, I think Carrie said the same thing, froze in the moment. He denies it. I want to underscore that. We don't know this for a fact. But You went on to have an ongoing relationship with him, not romantic, but professional and friendly, right?
I did.
And you know, so many people will say, how could you do that if he sexually assaulted you?
Right. And a normal, healthy person would probably ask that. I feel that I was weak in some ways, and I feel like I depended upon him possibly to help with my film. And also he was a friend, so it was all, I kind of blamed myself, and I felt that I'm also very forgiving. And he was a friend, you know, so I feel that I wanted to give him another chance. And
So she did, and something else happened, and we'll get to that right after this break. And we're back now with Jennifer Jarosik, who says Russell Simmons sexually assaulted her on 2 occasions. She's filed a $5 million lawsuit, civil lawsuit against him. He denies the allegations, and her attorney Perry Wanders also here. Let me just tell you what he said to us in response to your allegation. He says it's absolutely untrue. I look forward to having my day in court where, unlike the court of public opinion, I'll have the ability to make use of fair processes that ensure justice will be done and that the full truth will be known. I did not do what this lawsuit accuses me of doing. The current allegations range from the patently untrue to the frivolous and hurtful. What I will not accept is responsibility for what I have not done. He stepped away from his board. He says it because he doesn't want to be a distraction. You say it didn't just stop in 2011, but when you went back to him in 2016, that he raped you a second time. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah. So I went over to his house in Los Angeles, and we were having a meeting, and he pushed me and forced himself on top of me, and I hit my head this time. And that was it. I left crying, and
So that's the claim that the lawsuit is based on, because that's within the statute of limitations. The New York incident is outside the civil statute of limitations, but within the criminal statute of limitations.
So have you filed a
We're
police report?
filing formal reports with the NYPD and the LAPD. I've already spoken to the LAPD, and they're going to investigate. Both cases are within the statute criminally.
Got it.
And only
It's
the
just-
Los Angeles
they're
one is
timely.
within the civil.
Jennifer, you called Russell in this fall of 16.
actually he called me.
He called you.
He called me out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him since the incident that I remember or anything.
Do you think he called you because he knew some of these allegations were coming out? Articles on him were being written?
I do.
Did the subject of your encounter come up?
It did, not right away, because I wasn't aware of any of the women coming forward. He just told me when he called me the first time, he told me, Jennifer, I think it's time we promote something like your film, the Unveiling the Goddess is what it's called. And I was shocked, and I was conflicted, obviously, because of what had happened to me. And when I found out, it was a couple days later. My friend had told me what had happened. And I texted him what's going on, and he called me back. And I said, he said, my life's being threatened, and I'm deeply hurt by everything that's happening right now. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And he said, I didn't do it. And I said, that's when I said, but it happened to me. And he said, oh my God, it did. I'm so sorry. Where was it? In New York? And it just so quickly, it just came out of his mouth. And I told him about the 2 times that it had happened, exactly where they were.
With him. He's understanding you're talking about with him.
Yep, with him. And then I told him about the 2 times, and he said, well, I call you a friend, and I want to help you. And he says, what do you need? And I said, well, I'm trying to finish my film. I could use funding for it. And he said, well, I don't have any money, but I will use my social media, and I'll make a call to a producer for you. Mm-hmm. And he did do that. And I did speak with the producer, and then I never heard from him again.
He will say, this is about money. She wants money for me to fund that film. It's a retribution for not funding it. What is the reason that you're speaking out?
Right. The reason I'm here today, which has been so hard for me to do, is for healing is for my own healing, is for my own voice that's been silenced, and for all the trauma that I've held for all these years, and for the other women, to also know that they too can come forward and speak about this, because healing can only occur when you face the trauma and when you can confront it and speak out. And so that's why I'm here today, is about this. I didn't know about, Perry had filed the lawsuit. I knew we were going to do that, but I didn't find out how much or anything like that until Wednesday night when everyone else found out, pretty much. So, yeah.
Where the hip hop industry has a whole history of treating women as sexual objects, discriminating against women. We're hoping that the lawsuit helps change this, and it's time that the hip hop industry face the music.
Thank you, both.
Later that year, Jennifer Jarowski ended up dropping the lawsuit, and it completely blinded her lawyer. But rumor has it that she was paid, and there was a settlement that was settled outside of court, and she was responsible for her attorney fees. Both parties were responsible for their attorney fees, and they came to some type of understanding. Rumor has it that Russell Simmons paid off several of his accusers to remain quiet and silent.
What are my thoughts on Russell Simmons? Well, remember when I said this? While in a very important man's office talking about working together. Have we ever fucked? No. Oh, right, because I would remember that, right? So that very important person's office I was in who said that to me, that was Russell Simmons. So that's my thoughts on that. You know how hard it was for me to say that? And he didn't even assault me, and I didn't want to say that. That's how the game is fucked up. That's how the game is fucked up.
I think me talking about Russell was less about the Me Too movement and more about just the fact that we, as women for a long time, have just felt like we can't speak on things that are really simply out of line. It's so crazy how much wild people said to me after saying that. Like, literally, I just said, like, this was said to me, and then I'd have people, like, in my DMs, like, oh, word, Russell Simmons don't want you. And you're just like, wow, we live in such a twisted landscape of people where they really feel like these are things that you should say to somebody. And it shouldn't be that way.
Before the documentary was set to release, Oprah Winfrey was behind the documentary at one point, but then she ended up backing out. Now, we're going to get into why she backed out. You will hear from her based off of her own inner and understanding of why she no longer wanted to be a part of the documentary. But I wanted to point out what Angela Simmons originally said when she reacted to Oprah's documentary covering SA allegations that were against her uncle, Russell Simmons. So she made a statement saying, my uncle knows what he's done, but I don't necessarily want to shine a light on that. Due to backlash from the Black community, Angela Simmons had to come back and clarify her original statement regarding the SA allegations that are against Russell Simmons. She states, to be clear, I don't believe my uncle is capable of being what the media is saying. Now, I find this to be interesting because why would you make that first statement and then feel the need to clarify? Why would you make the original statement in the first place if there wasn't any truth to it?
The only question for me is what is the right thing to do?
Oprah Winfrey on CBS saying she knew her decision to pull out of a documentary about allegations against Russell Simmons would look bad.
I unequivocally say that I did not pull out because of Russell. This is not a victory lap for him. I cannot be silenced by a Russell Simmons.
Oprah says she believes the women featured in the film on the record.
I stand in support of these women.
But she also says she worried about inconsistencies in accusers' stories and told the filmmakers Amy Ziering and Kirby Dick she wanted changes and didn't want to rush to premiere at the Sundance Film Festival.
I thought some things were not right. I wanted the context of the story to be broadened. I wanted more women brought into the story.
The New York Times reports Oprah left the project after showing the documentary to director Ava DuVernay, who gave a harsh critique. In December, Simmons posted this video questioning his accuser's credibility on Instagram.
Fame and fortune are catalysts for untrue
accusations.
In an open letter to Oprah, he said, "I have never been violent or forced myself on anyone."
He has millions of followers. I have like 1,000. And he is using all of that muscle to try to drown out our voices.
Drew Dixon is an accuser at the center of the new film. After Oprah's withdrawal, she told the New York Times, "I am being silenced. The most powerful black woman in the world is being intimidated."
I do hope people will see the film, even make their own decisions about it.
The film set to premiere Saturday at Sundance.
How do you feel that somebody's, bringing down the black men? And I just thought about that, and I answered the question best way I could. I said, well, how is it that me, of a woman of color, that did nothing but held up my community of black men, whether they was anything they did, my brothers, anything, held them up and always had their back and support. And then somebody turned around that I held up. And when I say held up, I held up another black man as far as, Rush was like the man. We was like, oh, and we trusted him, and my mother trusted him with our music to violate me. How do you think I feel? And that's a burden. And it's like, I don't get this where we of color and women of color, we have to be silent and whatever happens. And I've seen things growing up. And from a strong mom that was raising 11 kids, that she just let things happen. And you just shut up and didn't have to say nothing, but you always was holding up your community.
85% of black girls, by the time they're 18, have experienced some type of sexual abuse or assault. And it's rampant. And the people who are doing this to us are our men. Now, I'm not saying that black men are inherently bad. What I am saying is that there are men who are serial predators who ultimately are able to continue to attack and to continue their predatory behavior because we feel such an absolute conviction that, one, we do not want to be responsible for putting a black man into prison, and then two, going against the code of our race and our...
Right now in America, that black men and boys are dangerous. So when we speak out about a really, truly dangerous black man, and that becomes a headline. Trayvon Martin is more vulnerable, okay? Tamir Rice is more vulnerable. Michael Brown is more vulnerable. Because we are we live in a plane that's below the mainstream. So the stories that trickle up to a white audience are very limited, right? So we are managing those stories and the choices that we make as black people, understanding that we are communicating information to you guys that we can't control. And so if we create a headline, and we know it's going to be a headline that Russell Simmons is a violent rapist, then my own son is now more dangerous. My own father, my own cousins, you know what I'm saying? They are literally and truly more dangerous.
Say Her Name was created because people don't remember the black women victims of police violence. So it's indoctrinated regardless. In our own community, unfortunately,
that's right.
We prioritize black men and protect them because that has been our role. Right. We have to shield our sons. We have those talks with our kids. Don't walk this way. Don't talk this way. If you encounter a cop, this is how you behave. Don't move your hands. And it still doesn't save your life. But when it comes to us within this movement, I think it goes beyond nuanced conversations. One of the things that has to happen is that black men need to confront their own behavior and the way in which they shield each other. Change is not going to occur because a Russell Simmons wakes up one day and says, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm going into intensive therapy and I'm acknowledging the harm that I've done, or any other rapist. That's not it. The onus is on nonviolent men to take a stand. Men who are bystanders, but for whatever reason, such as what we're talking about, choose to prioritize their gender over the safety of our community. Right. Because it's not just women who are being assaulted. Africa Mambata was assaulting boys. And so it's not a conversation. We are talking about a cultural shift that needs to initiate within Black men in general, because the truth of the matter is predators have very little chance of any redemption. Where we have an opportunity to change is when men stand up. Because we have been carrying this burden for far too long. And what has the result been? We are ostracized. We are blamed. We are held accountable. And that is not my burden. I did not enable Russell Simmons because I didn't file a police report.
I want to bring you back to Kimora Lee Simmons. Now, she's being accused of a lot of things, but the number one thing that she is being accused of currently is the accusation that she fraudulently transferred almost 4 million shares of the energy drink company Celsius to her and her ex-husband's personal bank account in order to help pay for his legal fees and bail fees for a 2018 money laundering case in which he pleaded guilty. In a statement to the Daily Mail, representatives for Lee said Kimora and her children are shocked by the extortive harassment coming from her ex-husband, Russell Simmons, who has decided to sue her for shares and dividends of Celsius stock in which Kimora and Tim Leisner invested millions of dollars. The statement continued, "This is an ill-advised attempt by Russell to use the legal system to access funds he is in no way entitled to, and which his own legal team confirms Russell did not pay for." Russell's continued aggressive behavior not only blatantly distorts the facts, but it's simply a desperate PR ploy, ignoring the years of mental and emotional anguish, gaslighting, and ongoing harassment he inflicted inflicted on Kimora. Russell will be held accountable for his serial abuse, and we will confront his baseless claims that he is warranted Celsius stocks dividends despite his self-admitted zero contribution. Lee's representative stated, per the Daily Mail, "This extortion attempt is especially shocking given that Russell remains contractually in debt to Kimora for millions of dollars in unpaid business loans. Our team is actively working to put a firm end to his harassment, which continues despite Russell having fled the country. He will face his own reckoning in the U.S. court." Russell Simmons lost the lawsuit against Kimora Lee, and she counter-sued him for her attorney fees and court fees.
Oh, I woke up this morning with a very disturbing message on my phone from, it seems as though one of my baby daddies has a little problem. Oh, hi, Wolfie. Are you going? Are you going with them?
No, I'm going over here.
Okay, I love you. So I woke up this morning to some disheartening messages from one of my baby daddies. Now, those of you that know me, many of you here have known me for 176 years. I'm a single mom of 5 kids, and I have 3 baby daddies. 3. I said it, 1, 2, 3. So one of them, Muscle Women's, is seeming to be a little bit upset because my oldest daughter, who's 23, about to be 24, a whole ass adult, posted a message to me that said, "Happy Father's Day." And I reposted that, and he was, I guess, upset. I don't really know. He posted a message, a cryptic message that said, something about, don't ask the dads why they're not with their kids. Ask the moms why they couldn't be there, why they weren't allowed. So I took that as a situation because many people sent that to me. And I've noticed that he sends other messages too that are like, talking about brainwashing and stuff and of kids and all of this. I would just like to say, and I hate to do all this, but, when you come for me, like, ding dong, I'm there, up, out of my bed. I'm here to give all of it to you that you wanted, sir. So I would just like to say my two girls, and Aoki Lee feels the same way, even whether she posted it or not. My two girls just recently graduated from college. Aoki graduated from Harvard University. She's one of the youngest students, certainly young women of color, to graduate from there at 20, at such a young age in probably most of recent history. We can go back together and see exactly when that was, but she's one of them. My other daughter, who's 23, about to be 24, also a whole ass adult, Ming, just graduated from NYU. Some people who were noticeably absent was their dad, and Mr. Simmons. And so I noticed then, as soon as we started posting our graduation pictures and all these things, he starts to post on his Instagram. People send it to me because he's blocked by all my children and myself. He's blocked. We don't engage with him. We don't talk to him. We haven't spoken to him in many months, many months, probably going on years. But I noticed that he started to cryptically post children of divorced parents are oftentimes brainwashed. And I thought, wow, and people really, probably start to believe that in the world, social media, I don't know. People take sides. We all know that. People don't know what they see. You can show them something like this and they're like, I don't know if that was a hand. I don't know what that was. We're not sure, right? You don't know what you see or what you don't see. But I noticed that I got a lot of comments from that. Again, these are all comments and reports because he's blocked. And that's been that way for a while. Also funny to note that he has been blocked for quite a very long time, but yet continues to post messages like, we're friends, we're comrades, we're there. He posts all old pictures of my kids. Basically, in my opinion, my humble opinion, he's, I don't know, delusional and living some kind of a lie, to put it mildly, in my opinion. So I thought, wow, folks are really going to tell the public, that grown-ass kids are brainwashed? Now, we know that can be. Right? I can help you with a lot of that. They could have, I don't know what, Stockholm Syndrome, a lot of stuff. But that's not the case with these kids. But you all know that for sure that my kids are not brainwashed. So I thought that was crazy that people actually started to believe that because I could see the messages and the comments and, and sometimes people just want to have something to say, and I understand that. If you look back in our history, I have always been the type of co-parent. We were actually very famous for our co-parenting abilities and, how we always put the good face forward and the good foot forward to the world.
We were there today as proud parents Russell Simmons and ex-wife Kimora Lee said goodbye to their daughter Aoki, a freshman at Harvard.
We met some kids in the hallway whose parents had already gone home, and mom was like, oh, so you're orphans for now? Dinner, let's go. And she took all these kids to dinner, now I have new friends.
Missions hasn't admitted you.
Here's Aoki finding out she was accepted at Harvard. Her little brother read the letter. Yeah! Those screams of joy you hear, that's Kimora Lee.
I was crying and I was making the ugly crying face.
The waiting is crazy. Like, waiting to hear back is like the worst thing.
Aoki's acceptance came at the height of the college admissions scandal involving Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin, leading Simmons to tweet that he didn't have to pull any strings or pay anyone to get her in. She made it on her own academic merit.
We're going to go past that. We're not.
I'm just saying I wouldn't want them to learn that from me. Even if I could do everything for my child, I wouldn't want my child to go to be part of that process.
The Simmons family took a tour of Harvard Yard today. Aoki says she plans to study government, but will also help her mom with the relaunch of the clothing line Baby Fat. The Simmons join other famous moms and dads sending their children off to college.
So you guys know that. If you pay attention to the time frame of things, you will see that some years ago, recently, this ex in question brought a lawsuit against me and my family, a completely frivolous lawsuit, where he accused me of all kinds of crazy stuff like embezzling, laundering, defrauding, all these things. Again, everybody that knows me knows that nothing could be further from the truth. Clearly, I'm sitting right here in my home, right? There's no, none of that. I didn't flee the country. I don't run. I don't have to hide from anybody. I didn't commit any atrocities that I need to answer for, here or in the next life, at the gates, wherever I'm going to get. I don't have to do that like some other people. But if you pay attention to when this lawsuit was launched, it's probably a couple years ago, you'll notice that that's when all of these attacks started coming from my ex. You'll notice that that's when a barrage of crap started coming over here to us. you'll notice that the kids stopped kind of, over the past years, they stopped kind of seeing their dad as much. So you'll notice that all of this down talking and all of this stuff started to take a turn around these past couple of years, I think coinciding with that lawsuit. But I just want to come and say, and I never get into this, I usually let people go and rant and rave. It's funny though how this particular person in question, because I could go in on a few of them, one by one. But it's funny how this particular person, if you, again, go look back, you'll see on their page that they post all these pictures like we're together, like we're friends. They've even posted pictures and then said like, I just got off the phone with my kids. They sent me this great picture. None of that's true. I like receipts. So of course I have text messages. I have messages from all my kids. You can go and see. I think the bottom line, like probably the breaking point for all of this was over the past many months when their dad just sort of cut them off. He was contributing a little bit of cash to their like monthly, college spending, not much, a couple $100 probably, maybe $500, maybe a little more. Again, all these things can be, proven with receipts. I love receipts, so folks can always go and get receipts and show over the years. And so one day he just kind of cut the kids off. There was no more money coming in, no more like allowance, quote unquote allowance. I think he probably did that just to double up the expenses on me, which is no problem. I stepped up, I did it. But when he did this, it was around just before finals and graduation. It was some months ago, just before finals and graduation. And he did it without telling the kids or talking to the kids or anything. He did it, it's funny, after he did an interview with, I heard some clips from an interview with this young man, I don't know, but I see him a lot. I think his name is Academic or DJ Academic. So I saw in that clip, that was some months ago too, you can go and reference it and find it, where he told this guy, he was on and on about this guy, and I think it was about old school hip hop heads and how you should honor them, which I believe you should. But he was saying to the guy, like, I'm so rich, I got this and I got that, and I'm this and that. None of that could be further from the truth. He has turned around, and then again, I have records and evidence of this where he's told the kids in writing, we have it, text messages, I'm broke, I this, I that, I can't, go get it from your mom. Now, meanwhile, I have been financially carrying this person probably for the last at least 10 years, myself and my ex-husband. Again, this is all proven with receipts, so if whatever, somebody doesn't like what I'm saying, we can talk about it, we can come, we can open up our receipts. I love it, I love receipts. But I've taken care of this person to the tune of many, many, many millions of dollars to help with their bills, their overhead, their companies that they run into the ground, their unsuccessful bids, all of their stuff.
Kimora is not lying on this man, because I did some digging and I started looking into some of his businesses. And one of the businesses that stuck out to me was the Rush card. Russell Simmons fined $13 million for 2015 outage. It states here that New York federal regulators ordered hip-hop mogul Russell Simmons' company Rush Card to pay $13 million in fines and restitution related to a 2015 outage that cut off tens of thousands of its customers from their money. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau said that it has ordered Rush Card and MasterCard to pay $10 million in restitution to customers, as well as a $3 million fine.
When you lose your debit card, you usually get a replacement within the mail with your money still on the card. But a Calumet City woman says that's not the case for her. She says a company with a history of problems has held on to her money for months. Morning Insider Tim McNicholas took her problems to the company.
She's actually going to say the same thing that all of them say.
Danina Moody doesn't have a crystal ball, but by now she can predict what the Rush Card customer service reps will send to her in this chat.
She's going to say she doesn't see anything, that they have not received the documents.
Documents like copies of her ID and social security number, as she tries to get a replacement for a prepaid debit card she lost with more than $200 on it. They sent her this new card to use, but it doesn't have any of her funds on it. Moody says she's already sent the information about 5 times since April. She even showed us a fax receipt from earlier this month.
That's my money, and I need it, My living situation is not good at all. I'm on a fixed income already.
Just as she predicted, the rep told her they don't have her documents. Another rep told her the same thing earlier in June and asked her to either fax or mail them again. Moody has no car and no fax machine, so she's been walking nearly 2 miles and spending her own money on the faxes.
This is a person's livelihood, and that's nothing to play with.
Prepaid debit cards like Rush Card are a draw for people whose credit history or income disqualifies them from a traditional bank account. Moody, for example, says she's struggling financially after dealing with heart problems, diabetes, and other health issues.
This shouldn't happen.
Kimberly Palmer works for the personal finance website NerdWallet. She says Moody's story isn't the only red flag for Rush Card.
It has higher fees than a lot of its competitors. A lot of similar cards make it a lot cheaper to use. And so with Rush Card, you're actually paying a monthly fee. You're also paying a fee anytime you use an out-of-network ATM. And also the first time you load money onto the card, you're paying a fee.
Federal regulators fined Rush Card $13 million for a 2015 outage that cut people off from their money for days, while customers said they were struggling to pay for food and bills. The company was founded by Russell Simmons, but he is now out after Green Dot bought Rush Card in 2017. Today, most of the pictures on Rush Card's website show black or brown people.
I do think they were targeting black people. They were. So it's a card that's convenient for people, a minority with meager means. It is. And it's sad that they treating us like this.
Now Moody is left with a useless card and her money in limbo. Tim McNicholas, CBS 2 News.
We reached out to the Green Dot organization and Rush Card to ask what's going on exactly. Both said someone would contact Moody to try to figure it out. Green Dot tells us faxing is not a requirement for a lost card, but couldn't tell us why Moody had to fax documents repeatedly. And the company failed to answer the other questions that were raised in our story.
I'm just not going to tolerate this from someone who's not on the streets walking around every day. They are like, I don't know, apparently like hiding under a rock someplace far away in another country. You know, again, these girls are adults. They are young adults. I typically try to be very friendly and amicable with all my baby daddies, whatever. But I think it comes a time when you guys have to ask yourself, why are these women, young women, not supportive or not really trying to hear that? Or what have they gone through? What have they seen that they, you know, that has turned them off or that has put a bad taste in their mouth? You know, we've seen a lot lately over the years. And I have literally stood by these people and this man all my life. So I think if you look at just some of the facts, this person was not present at graduation. Again, there was not one graduation. There were several graduation events, both for NYU and Harvard. You can look these things up. There's a schedule. They're, you know, public events. Anybody can come or get tickets or show up or be there. They're usually in auditoriums. NYU was at Yankee Stadium. One of the graduations, the other ones were at smaller venues and locations. One of ours was at the Beacon Theater. They're all over. So I just want to say I usually stay here and I try to be very supportive of my family. I try to be very supportive all the time of even my baby daddies. I've sat quietly through things and, you know, just because I'm a mom, I've tried to, you know, look the other way for things and turn the other cheek. And I don't know, I sometimes feel like some of those things come back to haunt you over time and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm not really sure, but I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. Again, like I'm sitting here with my kids in my house. Easy to find me, not running, not hiding, not, you know, not doing any of that. And so to have these constant attacks is just kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. And I know you're probably looking at me now, fool, watching this, I'm sure. Like, I'm not your friend. We're not friends. Like, the stuff that you've done to our family is just too much. Like, please just go in peace. Go and serve the Lord, whatever Lord you serve. You know, that's funny because on the one hand, you have all this yogi preaching, this yogi karmic love. You know, I feel like that's an act. And then the real side, the real things come out and you're like super, you know, vindictive and mean and lying. Again, you can go back right now. You want to see a couple of lies. You can go on their page. You can look at all their pictures that they say, things like we were just together, we just talked. They post pictures of my kids from years ago, making you think that they're right there, right down the street, right now, going through all this stuff. You know, you can look. You can gauge the date. You can see the comments. You can see they're blocked. We don't talk to them. These are all lies. You tell the one guy doing this interview, you're so rich, you're this and that. But yet in reality, I think you're probably pretty broke. Again, you can get receipts. You can go see where they say like, oh, kids been brainwashed. But we've been fine up until these past several years. So, you know, what happened? All of a sudden now the kids are brainwashed. All of a sudden now these young women who are grown women are babies they have their own relationship with you. You have your own non-existent relationship with them. I'm just asking that you please leave us alone. I met this person when I was in high school in St. Louis, Missouri. I was modeling. I was 16 years old. Like, I've known you, and everybody knows. Again, that's documented. You can see. I believe I was maybe a sophomore. I know it was before junior prom and senior prom because I went to both of those proms alone with my friends when I was dating them. So it was definitely long before junior and senior prom. I think it was around sophomore year of high school. And again, everybody knows this in my life. They know I was walking around, they see me.
The Cinderella of fairy tale fame wears magnificent clothes, is touched by magic, and has to be home by midnight or else. Cinderella in real life is Kimora Perkins, a 15-year-old high school student. She lives in St. Louis, but the world is her pumpkin, and she shares it with us in today's Inside Story. She's only 15 years old and is the toast of the international high fashion world. And this gorgeous 6-foot-tall model leads a double life. Part of the time, she's that real-life Cinderella who dresses up for the ball. But back home in St. Louis, Missouri, she's 10th grade student Kimora Perkins.
The gorgeous gowns, and it's easy to get wrapped up in it. But no, it didn't overtake me. Because I knew I still had to take off the gown and come home and go back to school. So it was easy to keep my feet on the ground.
Kimora spends 12 weeks out of the school year away from home, working in Europe and New York for the likes of Chanel and Yves Saint Laurent. Although she won't turn 16 until next May, she's remarkably mature and says that she's able to keep her distance from the darker undersides of her seemingly glamorous profession.
People get caught up on mental and psychological trips, and they get into things like drugs and alcohol, and they're dating people to get certain places. And some people get really confused as to why they're there. There's a lot of things like that going on. Do this will make you better, this will make you prettier, this will make you feel good, and when you're stressed out, drink this will make you feel, oh God, you have to really watch out for that.
The wild and sensual nightlife of Paris might be tempting to a young teenaged girl from the heart of the American Midwest, St. Louis. But Kimora says that she's been able to steer clear of older men who can be considered model groupies.
They don't know how old I am when they approach me. I'm not a 19-year-old, 21-year-old person. And I have men that are 40 years old that want to take me out to dinner, and it's just not something that I need to be seen even in right now.
Kimora is of Korean, Japanese, and African-American descent. Her career began when she was discovered by a European modeling agent when she was 13 and flown off to France. When she's in Paris, she lives alone in her own apartment because her mother has a job and cannot travel with her. And this 15-year-old earns up to $450 an hour. Kimora was raised as an only child in a single-parent home. Her mother, Joanne Perkins, says it was hard to send her daughter off alone to Europe.
She realized how painful it was for me to let her go and how important it was for her to do well, that it was a sacrifice.
Kimora loves living in St. Louis and plans to always keep it her home. She enjoys typical teenage pursuits like shopping in malls with her friends. And just like any 15-year-old, her mom has put a limit on how late she can stay out at night.
The point of it is, I've known you a long time, and I've seen lots of stuff, and I just choose to not go there. Friends and other moms, they've gone through things. I've lost friends of mine. People have passed on. I've been through a lot. And I've seen where women, a lot of times, just don't get their just due. They don't get support. They don't have anything to show for their life and their contributions because they depended on a man. I am not that. I'm one of the few. I'm one of the few. And there's a handful. You can count us in your hands. I'm one of the few that doesn't have to do that. I'm one of the few that has my own stuff. And because of that, I feel like I'm the one that can speak up. I'm the one. My stuff does not depend on, my paycheck doesn't depend on these buffoons, Whereas some of my other friends, they do. Their life does depend on that. And so they can't always speak up. So that's another just side note as to why you see me running. Anytime there's an issue, I'm going to run because I'm the one that you can't knock down. I'm the one that you're not just going to ignore and step over me. And so I think that's just a little bit of juxtaposition there. But also just to guys, You know, it's kind of a tired narrative that you always want to blame the mothers of these kids, especially, like I say, when they're adults. You want to blame, you know, the moms and say that you didn't see your kids and they wouldn't let you in. But again, these are adults. They have telephones. They have emails. You can go see them. They have jobs. They have, you know, nothing is preventing someone from being a good person or a good parent, but that person themselves. That's a relationship that you need to take up with the Lord. You need to take that up with your God and with your kids. My kids have been through so much and they have accomplished so much. We're so proud of them. They're young business women. They're making it in a time where it's very tough for anybody. You know, don't come down on them for how they feel. And oftentimes the reason that you don't see a lot of us or them on this topic is because they're afraid to say stuff. They're afraid. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to rock the boat. You know, women are afraid sometimes, afraid to speak up, afraid of what's going to happen, afraid of how their class is going to view them or their job is going to view them or whatever, their friends or their peers. And I'm just not going to have that. I'm just tired of the mind games. I'm tired of all the manipulation. I'm tired of the lies. You should be saying thank you. Usually you do say thank you to me. Usually you have said that. Like, let's ask the world where this turned. Usually I'm the best mom. Usually you're preaching all these things. That's what I'm saying. One time it's a yogi preaching all the goodness and then it turns into like vindictive lying. And that's very much two-faced. So yeah, no, you should say thank you. Thank you that I adopted Gary Jr. Thank you that I've raised all these kids. Thank you that I've never spoken out about you and the things that you've done and the way that you are. You should thank me. Thank me that I've helped you support your business. Every single person that works in your company, I can name them by name. I have paid for them on payroll, every person that's in your house right now for years, and I have receipts to the tunes of millions. You should say thank you. Like, just kind of stop with the whole narrative that the parent who's remaining standing is bad, or that the parent who got the kids through the fire, through the thick and the thin is wrong, or that the kids who are old enough, adults, to speak up for themselves are brainwashed, or that you told the world. Ask the mother why it had to be that way. You sent that, ask the mother, so the mother is responding. And I think all of this is like narcissistic behavior. It's bullying behavior. It's behavior that you'll actually see from a lot of guys in the industry, from a lot of friends they all stick together. A lot of their peers, a lot of my friends have been kind of oppressed and pushed back and silenced and teased, made fun of. They get into new relationships and the person starts to dog the other person. I'm talking publicly, you guys. We've gone through so much, but we don't do that to your many women no, we don't. But I do think in this case right now, the truth will prevail and the righteous will prevail. And I'm really saying that, step ye off, Satan, step off. Go over there with your stuff. Keep over there under your rock. Don't have anything to say about what goes on in this house. Because if you want to, then we can all just do that. And like I said, I like receipts. I have receipts. I've been collecting them. I've been baking a cake. So if you want it, just let me know. Hit me up. And let me know that you want it. I got more. But please leave us alone. But you are living a life of sin and mess and crime and mess. That's the crazy part. So fix yourself. Don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. Okay? Make yourself right with your creator. So who is this? Hold on. Brooklyn Bevy. Children need their dads. True, they do. But don't tell me that. Tell the dads that. The mothers or the single parents who are left behind, left in the family unit, left to take care of the kids, we're not the ones alienating. Yeah, we do need the dads. The dads was always around up until some point. So you ask yourself what happened there. Because this is not a house where we typically don't mess with dads. We're always in real good. You could go back and look at pictures on our vacations. That's my boat I had him on. You could go back and see pictures of all kinds of destinations. Those are my houses that I had him in. Those are my things that I invited him to come in and co-parent with myself and my children and his children and my husband. Okay, I've shared my ex. I've opened up my life. So children do need fathers. Children do need mothers. It takes a village. I will say that. But they don't need someone who is narcissistic, emotionally not supportive, abusive, physical, mental, emotional, financial. That's what we're talking about right now. Financial abuse you tried to inflict upon my kids. You tried by, withholding some little $300 or $500 or even maybe more allowance. That don't work. Russell lives, I don't know, he travels all around, but I think he spent the most part of the past many years in Bali, which is, yeah. And then I see other people on here saying, oh, how can you be broke and how can you be this? But when you get enough lawsuits and stuff, and when you have enough accusations from various people for doing various things, that stuff wears down on you. Yeah, and people get blackballed and people go through their life and people, whatever. All the dirt comes to the life, to the light. I'm sorry. That was a Freudian slip. Comes to your life. All the dirt done in the dark will come to the light, okay? And I have a lot of dirt. This isn't even any dirt. This is trying to set the record straight and saying, please leave us alone. Please leave us alone. But if you want dirt, we got that too. We don't want to do that, and the kids don't want us to do that. We choose to take the high road. What do they say? When they go high, when they go low, we go high. But in this case... No, I go to hell. Yeah, we're going low. I'm going to hell. Yeah, we're going a little low today. I'm going to hell. But I didn't even give up all the tea. I didn't even give up no tea. So if you want some more tea, come on back to the tea factory, okay? So I can go to hell. Right, so we can go to hell.
If I were men, I would leave Kimora alone. I would leave that woman alone. That woman is still holding on to secrets, and she has a lot of them. She has a lot of receipts as well. This woman has seen a lot in her lifetime. She was very close to Kim Porter, so she has a lot of information. She is holding on to secrets, and in some cases, some may assume that she is still protecting him, but I don't think she's protecting him to protect him. I think she's protecting her daughters. I don't even think she is protecting herself. I think she's protecting her daughters, because at the end of the day, they still carry that last name. I would leave Kimora and her daughters, her children, her family. I would leave her alone because she's holding on to deep, dark secrets. And she almost insinuated that Russell Simmons may be out here dabbling in the other side, if you know what I mean. Because she almost slipped up and said that, if you pay close attention to that clip.
Gone through so much, but we don't do that to your many women no, we don't.
I would just leave this woman alone. And it's interesting because Aoki is still getting attacked on Instagram. Until a short time ago, this is the man who told me, always defend and look after your mother and never let a man curse at you. You call daddy if a man ever tries to yell at you or scare you. That's never okay. Real men don't shout at women and girls. Then she also went on to say, so to all the toxic men in my comments using I'm defending him to be foul and talk about all the grievances you have with women, you can save it. It's pathetic. He would agree. I know that for sure. Then she went on to say, I wonder how your mother, sisters, daughters, nieces, girlfriends, wives would feel seeing some of the sexist, racist, honestly foul comments and messages some of you men are leaving me. The misogynistic stereotypes and names, the absolute hate for women of color. A lot of your comments show just waiting to take your anger at how you feel you've been treated by women. All of us bees are like this, and this is the problem with you girls, women, black women, bitter women, blank, blank today. No, how about all you bees are like this? I'm only seeing one bitter mess in a DM between a 40-year-old male stranger yelling at me about all the bitter black women I represent, and it's not the 20-year-old on the receiving end. And she continued and said, always defend your mother and sister. Don't let any man talk to you crazy. I'm just following instructions here, people. If you made it this far in the video, I can finally now give my final thoughts and opinions regarding the situation. I just had to present to you all the information that I have gathered to form the opinion that I have. In my opinion, there's a lot of lessons that can be learned behind this entire situation when it comes to women, girls, hip hop, black culture, and the black community. We can start with the fact that 3 women that were accusing a man of such a serious crime came forward, and they were alienated from the black community, the black culture, and just black people overall. They were alienated and they were forced into this solitude of silence with each other. Eventually, 3 became 14, and still to this day, a lot of people don't believe the women that stepped forward regarding the trauma and the sexual abuse that they encountered. As young Black girls and women, oftentimes we are silenced when it comes to the trauma that we have experienced. Yet we are shamed for being masculine. Yet we are shamed for being aggressive. And no one wants to acknowledge the pain and the trauma that the community has caused. And a lot of the trauma was caused through the music that we listened to, through the shows that we watched, and the stories that were told to us. Kimora Lee Simmons is now on the receiving end of defending her daughter in the public, the community going against her simply because she spoke out against a man, which was very similar to the Jordan Woods situation. Women of color may be a preference within the Black community, but it's not shocking that Black culture, the very culture that they decided to uphold, goes against them anytime they speak out regarding a man who brought harm to them. This is very similar to the experience we as Black girls and Black women often face while still upholding the community that traumatized us. It amazes me how the Black community can continue to defend a man who has ran off to Bali and hasn't been back in the United States since certain charges have been brought up against him. And he is facing lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits, yet somehow he's still an innocent man, even though he has left a trail of destruction within his community. To young Black girls and women, I'm sending you so much love and healing, and it's unfortunate that the community has failed you and continues to fail you. It's also unfortunate that the Black community prioritizes keeping the Black man's image as innocent as possible, even though it continues your suffering while also silencing you.
The onus is on nonviolent men to take a stand. Men who are bystanders, but for whatever reason, such as what we're talking about, choose to prioritize their gender over the safety of our community. Right. Because it's not just women who are being assaulted. Africa Mambata was assaulting boys. And so it's not a conversation. We are talking about a cultural shift that needs to initiate within Black men in general, because the truth of the matter is predators have very little chance of any redemption. Where we have an opportunity to change is when men stand up.
That's all that I have regarding this video. Please give the video a thumbs up. Also share it with those that you love. If you're new here, subscribe. And also, if you would like to add to my commentary today, please comment down below and I will catch you in my next video.